are great questions. I'm glad that everybody's got a good start on the paper. Since I can capture this on film. The paper is due officially by 11 p.m. Friday, giving us both this period and next period. I suggest you do not wait till 11 or 10:59 to attempt to upload it or share it because there's always technical problems. Yeah.
11:59 is when it's due, or
11.
11 o'clock.
I was saying because usually they're.
And all of this is on Google Google Classroom, and I put the explanation that it is in fact on Friday evening at 11. So please get it done and get it uploaded ahead of time. So because there's always the internet goes out, the dog ate your router, those kind of things. Okay. Right, because there's no dog ate your homework because it's all electronic. So the dog ate your router. We've covered now. Those religions that claim for themselves divine inspiration, that is to say, they claim for themselves to be of God. We covered Christianity a number of times. We've now covered Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, and Islam, all of which claim to be either revelation from God, a prophet from God, or the leader got direct revelation from an angel and then went out and recorded it. We're going to make a turn a little bit now into the Eastern mystical religions. These are considerably harder to sort of get our hands around, or sort of minds or ideas around, because there's no central figure, although there is a Buddha who started Buddhism. There's a little bit slippery on how things have been collected and how things have been taught. So we're going to do kind of the high level of each one of these religions, because there are different groups within these different religions that hold to different things that I'm going to tell you, or different variations I'm going to tell you. So just a quick story. The Hindu temple, since we're all in or around or live in and around the Woodlands, there's a Hindu temple on the Woodlands Parkway. I went and visited it. Have you seen it? It's like go from this direction, you're going towards, it's on the right side just before you get to the big HEB complex. That group of religion, that group of Hindus believes in what I'm about to show you, which is there is one supreme God being. But one of the things that they gave me was the pamphlet on the temple itself. The temple itself, they went through and they prepared the land and they built the temple in a certain way, and they chanted around it. Perhaps you've heard the word Om. It's actually a chanting or a mantra or a sound of Om, Om. What they're doing is each step of the way, they are infusing the God essence into what they're doing, into the ground,
Should we all do that real
into
quick?
the bricks. No. I would not suggest it. And at the very end, once they got the temple completed, they poured water over it, said some mantra sayings, did the ohms, and then the building itself became God.
What? No, okay.
Now, the title of this article is How an Idol Becomes a God. Okay?
Wow.
That's Hinduism kind of in a nutshell. So we would say that God in Hinduism is not just one God in three persons, or just one God, but rather they have an estimated 330 million gods.
Jeez.
So if you want a God for fishing or weather or the new tennis shoes or whatever, you can create the God through this process of ohms and chanting and so forth. There is a group within Buddhism that has this group has it, that's called Brahman.
You mean Hindu?
Is it wrong?
Can you make up your own God?
Yeah.
Besides, can you make a spiritual God?
The holy loaf.
Yeah.
Because can't you just...
So
a demon can be God.
yeah. What do you think these are? So the Brahmins believe.
Hillary Clinton's emails.
Yeah. All right. You got that on film, by the way. I'm going to turn it over to. So this would be the sort of supreme being, the supreme God. There's many, as we talked about, thousands, millions of gods. Now, in Christianity, while we talk about man and we talk about destination, what we're really talking about is time linear, right? There was a beginning of time, and the time progresses. It started at the beginning, and it is progressing through the years. Ultimately, God will come back, and He will recreate, but time will continue into eternity, right? That's our way of thinking. It started, and it's linearly progressing. Hindus, as well as Buddha, believe that time is not linear, but rather cyclical. It circles.
It restarts.
There's birth, living, death, rebirth, living, death, rebirth, and it's just recycling itself over and over and over again. I should probably say this. This may be the easiest way for you to think about this. You've seen the movie Star Wars?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I've never seen one Star Wars.
Have you seen Avatar?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Avatar, like the last Airbender?
No, Avatar, the Blue Monkeys, the one James Cameron.
No,
Yes, I have seen that.
If you want to say, well, what is a representation? Well, that's what they call it. So I would say that Hinduism is Star Wars or Avatar.
Oh,
because,
and they have a lot of planets.
Right? So because
God of air, God of
because
fire.
in Star Wars, what is the Force?
Basically God, Holy Spirit.
It's basically just energy.
It's an energy.
It's midichlorians.
Right? It's metachlorians. It's the God sort of stuff that we have within us, and we're all tied. And then you can take the Force, and you can, because the Force is in a tree and a rock, and it's in Yoda. You can move it because right. And then you have good energy in the Sith, or rather in the Jedi, and then the bad energy in the Sith. And there's always this conflict between good and evil. And so you can think of Hinduism as Star Wars or Avatar. Avatar's a little bit dated, but the next two are coming out. Buddhism, you might not have seen this movie, you can think of movie-wise as The Matrix.
Never seen that.
Matrix is...
It's a little dated now. It's been a few years since it came out. But The Matrix it puts forth the idea that we're all captive. We're all living a dream. Huh?
In a fake world.
And we're living in a dream world. And that to escape from that dream world, from being woken up, is real life. And that's Buddhism. Buddhism says that we're living in an illusion, and that illusion is suffering. That suffering is caused by desire. Therefore, the escape from the illusion of suffering is to eliminate desire. Yes?
That's basically like Inception. Have you ever seen that movie?
Inception, yeah, sort of a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream. Sort of, yeah, kind of. The difference with Inception is you're actually awake and you go into a dream world and then you do some stuff and then you come out of the dream world.
Well, you have a wrinkle in time for some reason.
There are several movies. The Matrix is probably the one that is clearly putting forth a Buddhist point of view. Buddhism, however, in its core, there is no God. There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
Right? Now, they also have a cyclical view of time. So man is eternal. The soul, so to speak. There's sort of a soul-like thing in Hinduism. There's kind of a soul type thing in Buddhism. And so that soul comes and it goes through the series of births, deaths, and rebirths. So man would be eternal in both. The problem is karma.
Credit karma?
In both. The problem is karma in both. Right? So Karma can be thought of as cause and effect. You do good, you get points. You do bad, you get subtractions. And your goal, then, the solutions, is to have no karma. Right? That your actions are neither good nor bad. I don't know how you get there, but the good nor bad. And so it's to have no karma. The destination is a merging, in Hinduism, merging with the great spirit. It's called Brahma. So in Hinduism, you lose your identity. There is no more individual. And you merge your way into the great spirit, the Brahman spirit. You lose your individualism. For Buddhism, however, the destination is nirvana. Not the band from the 90s. Nirvana. Nirvana, then, is enlightenment. So if the problem is suffering, if everything is an illusion, and the problem is suffering, then the solution to that is enlightenment. And the Buddha means enlightenment. And when you're enlightened and you have neither good nor bad karma, you enter nirvana. The Buddhists would say it's kind of like you're a drop of water into the ocean. Okay? So karma's the problem. Suffering, illusion is the problem caused by karma, good and bad, cause and effect. Destination then is no karma, which is the merging of Brahma and Hinduism. It is enlightenment. It's enlightenment through the eightfold path. These are the Four Noble Truths.
That's what I learned. Like, we did social studies in 6th grade, and we learned about the Eightfold Path.
Yes.
I kind of forgot about it, but I know the word.
Yeah. So the Eightfold Path in Buddhism, that is the way to nirvana, is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood. Huh?
I'm telling them pay attention, they're going to know this.
Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can't think of it as a moment of inspiration, a religious experience, and then you're enlightened. You think of it as, if you will, a grinding away through your life until you have reached all of these eightfold paths. So the question that you certainly would want to have is, but if it's right, isn't there a converse of wrong? If it's right, there's got to be a wrong. So there's still duality, which means you still are working in cause and effect. So how do you ultimately ever escape this illusion? How do you ever know you have enough good karma or bad karma or no karma? How do you know that you're enlightened? How do you know about your past lives? How do you know about your, right? So the question becomes, how do you know?
So you know how, okay, so they believe that basically you die and then you go and you start over.
Yes, it's called reincarnation.
Yeah. So if you start over, so then how come we don't remember anything from our past life?
This cyclical birth, death, rebirth is called reincarnation.
Okay.
Yes. So how do you know?
So you don't remember it because you don't remember anything. So therefore, how do you know that this is even a thing? And plus, how do you know that the objective is to have good karma? If I'm just saying, if for them they come in reincarnation and then they as a dog or something, but then they come as a human or whatever.
Right.
Then how do they know that that's the way to go? Is
right.
karma. How do they know that?
Because
Because they basically been erased. They could grow up as a Christian, and then what happens?
Right.
It was probably somebody that was a nobody that couldn't read or write said that, and then millions of people started listening to him.
So Buddhism, so Hinduism doesn't have a specific moment when it started. It sort of evolved on the Indian continent. Buddhism, however, came out of Hinduism. So the Buddha, Sumatra Gautama, I think I probably butchered that name, came out of a Hindu home. He was a prince. He was around wealth. He would walk out of his palace and see suffering and couldn't explain it. He said, I can't explain it. Why is there suffering? What's the source of suffering? To which he developed this idea that all of this life and suffering is illusion, because what he observed was that so many people who were suffering were desiring for something, material something, relationships. They were desiring something and they weren't getting it. Therefore, they were miserable and suffering. And he said, the way to escape the suffering is to kill desire. And so the Buddha actually came out of Hindu. A prince, a wealthy person, came and walked the streets and realized, I cannot explain suffering. This must be, based on his observations, as he sold all that he had and lived among the poor, said this must be the way. As he sat under the tree, came and said, the way out of suffering is a lack of desire or a kill of desire by the Eightfold Path. And he became the first enlightened person, the first person to reach nirvana, and then went and taught everybody else, which became the teachings of Buddha. All right? Not really a starting point. There are a collection of sayings called Vedas. Buddhism came out of Hinduism, and as you could probably see in your just normal observations in life, you can see that both Hinduism and Buddhism have had a substantial impact on our culture through what we call New Age. And we'll pick the New Age discussion back up on Thursday.